Alright, so greetings and welcome back. So today we're going to be working on file upload, right? So what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to go ahead and make our own custom file upload, right? So basically what I want to do is I want to refactor, right, the file upload that we have. I want to go ahead and refactor the file upload that we have and then reintegrate it into something new. So thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let's begin, right? So we have an application here. Right, file uploader, right, so this is what I want to go ahead and refactor, right. I did file uploader once before, or else I may not be writing this out, right. But what I want to go ahead and do is refactor it and try to get an appropriate format, right. So I'm just going to walk through in this video. So now I'm in my projects here, as you can see, right. So now what I want to go ahead and do, I want to go ahead and generate a new library. So npx ngg, and then we got to work on what we want to go ahead and do is that we want to work on call this file manager, because I'll just leave it file uploaded for now, but later I'm seeing that this could become like a file manager one day. I'll call it file manager. I'll make the module file manager, and then I'll make a file upload component. Right, so this is what I'm doing. Right, so I'm generating basically a project, a library that's going to be turned into a package, right, once all is said and done. Mm. Yeah. Alright, so that's all good. So on the Angular 14, right, that you have NGRX store. I may have to remove it because they haven't updated it. Let's see if the project went and created anyway. Right, so, but that's good. So let's see what got created in here. So lib is good, right, so all this stuff, right. So what I remove is I want to remove that component. Oh, remove that sir, and now, now all I have is this. So now, GG. So I'm gonna say the mail file upload. Let's see if it generates. Alright, so that works. Right, and now we're gonna try to go ahead and implement what we have going on here, right? So basically there's two fields, right, in this application. I want to take my team logo. I want it to I want to allow for I want it to upload a file like this, and then this will be a PDF. So let me go ahead and refactor. Right, so here I have my form. Right, so with that, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and continue where we left off. So what I see here, so what I want to go ahead and do is that I want to turn these two fields. I want to turn these two fields into file uploads, right? Probably put them side by side. Let's go ahead and do that now. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Right, so in the collegiate sign up, so a bit of the CSS before you get into it. Right, what I want to go ahead and do is want to update my SCSS. Oh, click on the TypeScript file. I want to update the global. Right, might as well just try to do. I think this is gonna be the sixth one. Right, bad design practice. It's definitely look for a way not to repeat myself, but it definitely looks pretty. I'm at it. This is collegiate site up global. Alright, so it's gonna probably gonna want to update. if it hasn't already. Yeah, I think it's gonna reload. Yep. Right, so now they're side by side. So now what I want to go ahead and do, I want to just go grab input fields. Let me just get a copy of this. File upload fields. Right, so I want to go ahead and take away 10 and 11. Right, in my foreign orderings. Right, and I want to go remove the rest of this in my foreign orderings. Right, and now I want to go ahead and add this for array. File upload fields, and I'm thinking about, in the future leveraging base class, right? So now I want to go ahead, say my base service, and I want to go over where I say generate input, generate field, generate. I'm going to say generate options, right? I'm going to copy this template, and then definitely anyone in the videos, if they have a way so that I should really try to leverage decorator function, because all these functions are basically decorations of generate input, but when it actually comes to using, right, to actually inputting all the parameters, it kind of gets it gets a bit interesting, right, because it's not exactly a decorator, right, based on these parameters, right, even though they're subsets, right, these form controls, they're different. So file upload, right, so I want to say generate file upload. Alright, and now it's the field custom component. We'll do file upload, but before that, right, yeah, this doesn't exist anymore. So there's this, right? So I like to say equals this. Also, I'm planning to have a file download component one day, right? And then I'll just put this in my declarations and my exports. Right, so there's that, and now I want to go over to public API. Right, that doesn't exist anymore. Right, service most certainly doesn't exist. File manager doesn't exist. But file upload does. So I want to go ahead and make that update. Right, so now I'm exporting everything, and then one last thing, because what I'm going to do is really going to restart this. Right, because ultimately I want this to be a module one day that I can install from npm package. So I see my file manager. Right, make that update right there, and then I want to cancel my task, and I want to reload my window so that when I do that import, then what's going to happen is I get to see. Alright, so there's all the work there. Right, so there's that. Right, so I updated my TS config, right, and then obviously I want to use Angular schematics to try to help me do that, right? Generate a custom library to help me do that now. So now I have my base service here. So now I'm going to go ahead and replace this with the file upload, right? And now I want to go into and then I want to make a set of parameters. I want to make a set of parameters to get passed in. Right, so, and then I think there's a new feature I want to go ahead and test. New feature I want to go ahead and test. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this. Right, so, remove the file upload. Let's see. Right, so that works. And then I think there's a feature. I think it's isChild. Hold on. Right, so is params child, right, and that's going to be set to true. child. Set to true. Let's see how this looks. Right. Oh wow. Maybe I have to put in strings to try to escape this. If not, I'm gonna have to go ahead and make an update to pause the video. Right. So, given true choices is true and false. Let me try single quotes. Yeah. Right. So it's a bull. Yeah. So it's not really handling this boolean well. So let me pause the video. Let me go ahead and make this update, and then we'll be back when, and I'll be back when I return. Alright, so that was a lengthy process that I had to work on there, but you know, I got it taken care of. So, alright, so now let's go ahead and work on it. So let's see how this looks in the application. Right, so file upload works, file upload works. So ultimately, what I'm thinking is that, right, I want this to be a multi-part file upload, something that I've done at my job, right? I want like a button. I want the opportunity to say upload, right? So basically what they have here is they allow for a user to browse files. Alright, so as you continue, then you'll know file upload works. Right, so as you look at this, right, only the file MIME type. So I kind of want to remove this MIME type functionality. I definitely want to see how this is working. Right, so I know this is gets. Right, so basically this logic, I think right here, hopefully it accepts anything. Hopefully this doesn't work with PDF. That'll be super unfortunate, but right, so file upload, right, it looks like, and now this is being sent somewhere. Not too sure what's being sent. File was uploaded successfully. Alright, so if I take a look at the network, let's see. Right here. Right, it looks like yeah, I don't think anything's happening here, but looks like this was cached. So let me try this. See, this is a 200. Right, it's going as a 304. Alright, so they're definitely just trying to kind of show you what's going on here with the progress. Alright, so that's really nice. So that now we want to go ahead and integrate that. Wait, implement that. So let's start up, right? So I'm definitely going to be using this as a reference. I'm also going to be using, I wish I had some information about file progress so I could see like the amount of progress that's going on. But let me see if I can try to recreate it so much. Right, so right, my file upload params, probably not going to start with that first. I'm going to start like trying to style it out. Alright, so ml file upload. Right, so basically what I want this to be like a big container, right? So I'll make this my main pod, that'll be my border. Right, and so let's just open up the CSS for it. And then what I always like to do is I like to import my styles. Alright, import my styles, and then I can just get to work from there. Right, so I want that border. So I'd say, so border is now 1px dotted. I just want to say px. I always want to use the rounds. So 1 dotted, and let's say bs dark. And since I really am not too interested in scrolling down to the bottom of the screen all the time, right? I think what I'm going to do is in my collegiate sign up, right? I'm going to name these. I think I start at 0, so -2, -1 for the time being, and then really just have a note that this is 10, this is 11. So hopefully, this sorting logic doesn't go by absolute. Hopefully, all right, nice. All right, so there's it. So there it is. It's at the top now. So I could go ahead and work on it. All right. So now, right, what I want is that I want the background color. I want it to be lighten. BS gray. That was about 40. Right. I'm not gonna see anything yet. Yeah, but that's my container, right? So here, I'm gonna want a button. All right. So continuing we left off. All right. So now it's a file, upload file. So basically, I want a section that says upload files, right? So let's kind of work on that. So I think I want to do it different, right? I don't want it to be dotted here. Let's make this solid. Let's try to populate it, right? So let me give a section tag, pot 0. Right, and now so there's going to be some contents in there that I'm probably going to have, right? So it's basically drag and drop files or quick browse files, right? So I definitely want this section to be the same, but here, right, that's where my board is going to go. We'll say display is flex direction is column, and I think it's align items is going to be center, right, for that. And then I'm just going to populate it here. So this should be like H3. Right, so I'm going to provide an option which says drag so I want the values, right? So basically, I think what's the first thing I want to do? I want to just go ahead. I want to make this thing. I want to allow it to support iTunes Translate. So say drag, drop, text, drag, and drop, and then browse file text is browse files. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so let's type translate right for now, and then browse files. Right, this is going to be my button. Right, and then this label. I'm gonna have it as params dot browse file text. Alright, type translate. Alright, so this is gonna be a package one day. So let's go into our package.json, grab those peer dependencies, right, and then, right, I think this could go back to version 14, right, now I'll say greater than, and then if I go into WLL options, no, that shouldn't have to use it, no, I think it does, and I go into its package.json, right, I think anything greater than 14 should work. I definitely want to start doing this. I don't want to have it be stuck at the major version. I definitely want to. If it could go as many versions, I'll just let it. Right, so there's that. Right, so then I believe in the module. Right, I go and grab the translate module. Right, pipe translate. So the application should want to start to work again. Right, so there's that. Right, so now what I want to go ahead and do is I want to provide a bit of padding. Let's leave spacing 5. Right. So I always do this a lot with my classes and never. Alright, so I kind of want to try to investigate what's going on here. Let's remove the translate key, because like by default what ngx translate does is that when it doesn't see the key, it should immediately try to. But I think what's happening is refusing to stretch the width, even though there's a lot of content here. So it's not seeing any values, and that's not seeing any values. So I think I also know what's going on here. Huh, no, that's kind of interesting. So this dot params. Let's see what's exactly going on in here. Alright, fires. Yeah, and then usually things fire twice. And then I think I know what's going on, right? So if I go to my base service, right? Yeah, I never took care of it. Right, so let's rename this symbol. Now I'm definitely gonna have to figure out how I could modify that in Angular schematics. Alright, so drag and drop, browse files. Kind of see this 2 times. Always wonder why this likes to instantiate 2 times, but I'll definitely get to the bottom of it. Alright, so ultimately what I would like to see well, ultimately, what I would like to see is that I would like to see a bit of gap, right? I would kind of like to see a bit of padding going along in here, and then I want to kind of see things center. So I would say text align to center, if not already, right? And then browse files. Now let me just close some things out while we're here. let's say display flex. Might as well use flex column center again. Then I'm thinking about in my styles if I just want to go ahead and grab. So these styles are out here, right? It's gonna be very tough. Right, so flex column center, right? There's that. Right, so I kind of don't want this to be H3, maybe more like a P. Right, and then I definitely want some padding in here as well. So, and I want this to be dotted. Right, so okay, so there's that. Right, so this is basically the location where your files are going to go. Right, right, and now this browse files button. Right, we could definitely do a lot better with that. So let me go ahead and you know, what I want to go ahead and do here. So just want to just go ahead and grab my styles as they are. I could only find them. Maybe they're in global. I just want to go ahead and add global button, or do I want to do my own? I think I'm going to just do my own for now. So class equals pod 0 button 0. That's going to be my class right there. Alright. Insert snippet button. Right, now I'm going to work on that. Right, so I'm going to give it some padding. So it's spacing 2 most likely. Right, I want to give some padding, and then I think, you know, since the top one is not going to have a class, since this text is not going to have a class, let's just give it some margin. So I want to say spacing 5000, and might as well make the padding spacing 5. See how that looks. Alright, so I'll say spacing 5 there. Spacing 7 for the sides, make it look a bit interesting. Right. So now I'm gonna go over and hover. So I want to say hover. It's not working as intended. Come on. See if there's another. Yeah. Yeah, so I think. Alright, so okay, I see what happened. Alright, so I'm gonna say background color. Alright, I wanna say. I'll just make it white for. Is the text white or black? The text is black. So I'm thinking about a gradient. I want to use here. I want to try to use a gradient here instead. Alright. Yeah, so it doesn't work like that, right? So the background's going to transition anytime I hover. Okay, so I could just make the text. It's fine. I could just make the text white. Or let me try to see the gradients if I have a better idea for a gradient here. Alright, that's fine. I just need the text white. Don't want to try to. So label. Alright, so color. I did. Yes, light. Alright. Right, so now basically once I hit browse files, then what happens is that I get my input, right? So basically, right, there's that, right? So there's that, right? That's how you're gonna look. So that's the area I could drop my files into, right? But what I also want is that as I'm dragging and dropping these files, right, they kind of start to appear well, I mean like a list. So as you saw here earlier, right, as you dragged and dropped, right, I want that list to appear, right, and I kind of want to show the progress icon as I'm uploading files into the browser, right? So let's see how that looks. So let's see what they go ahead and do here, right? So is there an input tag that they use? Input is type file, right? But that's kind of hidden, right? As I suppose. And it looks like they styled it out. File upload needs selection. All right, so this is what they're saying is actually of an input type file. Okay. So I'm not even allowed to see the form, but that's where the button is. Right? Choose files, no file chosen. But then when I go ahead and click browse files, it means open file selector. This file selector needed element. Right, so it's basically looking for the file selection click. Alright, sounds good. Alright, sounds good enough, sounds good enough. Before I kind of did everything with JavaScript, but definitely I want to try to keep this small. I just definitely want to try to keep this on the small end, right? So I'm gonna put an input here, and then I think I might as well. I'm thinking the only thing I'm thinking about is testing. When I go ahead and test this, right, it's gonna be harder to mock, right? But and then ultimately in addition, right, there's that file data. Right? Was there one? Was there one input for each file, or was there for each and every input there's a file? I'm not too sure. I'm gonna say input is type is file. Right, and I'm expecting that there's no other inputs in here. So let me just give this a class. Let's say main input 0. Alright, and then I'll just know to get rid of it. Snippet, put 0. Would say display is none. Right, and then I want to give this a template variable, say file input, right, and this is what's going to make it very, very hard to work with, right, really in the testing, because I know it gets overwritten, but we're going to see how it goes. Right, and then I always like to work with the view container ref, so I want to say view child file input. Want to say browse file. I want to say browse file element. I always like reading the view container ref, but I think for now I'll just read the element ref. I want to see, actually, you know what, let's see what this happens. See what this is. So HTML file. So HTML input element. Alright, it's a file input element, but let's see what happens on ng-init. What I get is this dot browse element. Alright, I didn't get an undefined. Really, that's not good. Right. So let's try to see. View child file selector. Static is false. This ng-init, right? So it's not going to be available, right? But I definitely want to say static is false because I know this is not going to change. False. Oh, it's still coming up as undefined. Alright, so let's say file selector. Let's just put this on the second. Just compare things one by one. So file selector. So input type is file selector. Alright. Static equals false. Set view child file input, view child file selector. Static is false. And I have to reload the page because I'm sure it's defined. Alright, I could use a different lifecycle hook. The review init. See what's going on. Huh. Instance ng on init is not a function. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. Alright, so it looks like something's getting called. I kind of don't want it to get called. Oh, okay, yeah, so that brings up forking things. So I know why this is instantiating twice. So it's not really instantiating twice. It's that its function is getting called twice, right? So I want to be very, very careful how I use this. Alright, so, but this should exist in ng on init, but if it doesn't want to, that's fine. Is it because it doesn't appear? Maybe I have to say visibility equals none on this thing. Because I know it should exist. Alright, well, the only reason I want to use ng on init is because it's going to break things for me, but that's fine. We could just always go back. I want to say static is true, maybe. I think that's an issue. Right, so I'm getting that value back, so I know it's kind of available on ng after view init, but really, now that I know what's actually going on with these dynamic elements, right? I really do not want to be using ng on init if I know I get values twice, right? So there's that, right? So there's that for the most part, and I think this is going to get a bit intense, so let me just go ahead and comment everything out here. Alright, and let's try to make sure that it's kind of interesting. I don't know what happened here. Okay, so it's kind of getting upset. It's kind of getting upset about one thing, right? So I want to go ahead and say 1. Right? I should definitely try to do my best to make sure it gracefully handles it, but that's okay. Alright, so there's my native element. Right, so now I can just go work on this, right? So basically, right, open file selection dot click, and then there has to be a listener somewhere. Right, and then pretty sure there's a subscribe step. Okay, so file selection form. Alright, so he's using a form. He's immediately using a form control here. Alright, sounds good. Dot value changes dot subscribe. Alright, so let's try to work on it. So there's going to be two pieces of logic. One is going to be the drag and drop, and then another is going to be the browse function. It is going to be the browse functionality. So you're going to say listen for browse file click. Alright, so actually a click. Open file browser to upload file. Okay, that's what I'm going to name this function to. Alright, so dot click. Right, that's what I'm going to have it called. Alright, and I'm going to say click. Alright. That's interesting. Alright, so yeah, always like, so I know that it's reference it as native element dot at every time. Right, so this is element ref. I wonder if it has any generics. I don't think it has. Dot click. File selector dot click, right? So let me see if I can read something different now. Read is any. Read used to read a different token. Let's see if we could get a native element. Element ref and view container ref. Right, I really just want the native element, but I guess it's not available in Angular 15 once I find out. So, but for the sake of this video, right, I'll just use the native element. Right, so now there it is. Right, there's my computer. Right, so now that uploads. Right, so now we want to try to listen, right, for a value. Right, so upload all. Right, so I kind of want to listen. Right, so I'm gonna look for native element around this application. You see it used 3 times. And then also I think there's a, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's a directive in here. Yeah, drag and drop. There's a directive somewhere around here called known as drag and drop. Alright, I definitely want to I definitely want to leverage this. Maybe just copy and paste it. Looks so interesting. Right. Right. So, but listen. But basically, what I want to first do is that I want to what I want to do is that once I upload a file, I want to be able to like listen for it. Right. Let's go. Alright, so try to get one of the teams here. Right, and now really nothing happens, right? But we want to go ahead and listen for this. File upload, which is HTML. Right, so it says input on change. Right. Right, so there's that. Right, so let's try to listen for the on change event. Right, so file upload. Right, let's see how that looks. And also, I'm kind of interested in large files to see if I could get events, upload events from them, but I don't think that may be the case. console.log res, no response. There's spec files here. No, it doesn't really do anything with the spec files, but it's okay. Right, so now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and say this dot listen for file upload dot subscribe. Alright, so there it is. Alright, so there's my event, right? But I think what it is, I want the actual file, not the event, right? So alright, so let's look at. And then I think what I really want to do is that I'm just going to update this. Yeah, I don't want to be working with the native element anymore. Browser file, altnet ref, browse file element, HTML input. Alright, so ng, so this dot. Alright, and now all throughout, kind of just want to go. And now I also want a console log, right? So I'm really not too interested in the rest, but I'm really interested in the value, which should be of type file. I think I should get a blob or a file back. Right. Right. So that's where basically my value is. I actually want the actual file object. Right. So let's see what they have here. Gotta drop that drag and drop. Right. But I just want to go back here. So file selection, not files. And then they go like a limit. So now as I'm thinking about it, I'll definitely like a limit property. So basically, how many files can a user upload? Right, and I want to give this to multiple, right? So you can upload as many as possible. Right, so okay, so great. So basically, you know, there's my file list. Right, so as I'm uploading, right, there's all my files. So basically, I gotta hold on to this stuff. Right, so all this needful information, right, and I believe the actual binary lives on the file itself, right? So now what I want to go ahead and do is that I want to provide. So now what I want to go ahead and do is I want to provide for uploaded files, right? So I want to say files, right, is empty, but mostly I want this to be an array of files, right? So I might just go about this wrong. Right? Because ultimately, what we'd like is, right, I think what it is we want to consider whether there's duplicates or not, right? So I think for now, we just definitely want to give that option. I want to set duplicates to false. I want to code against that. Right, so there's that. Right, so there's that. Right, so now as I'm uploading these files, I kind of want to visualize them. Right, as more files come along, then I want to be able to visualize them. Right, so this is not going to be a file per se, but this will be an array of file objects. Right, so I'm going to say class vanilla file upload item. Right, and then here I'm gonna have the actual file living there. File is gonna be of type file. Right, and now right, there's gonna be a lot of different properties here. So and then it's gonna be files. It's gonna be array like so, and then I'll just put the files there. Right, so I indicated duplicates is equal to false. Right, so let's see how that goes. Right, so for each, I'm gonna put for each, I'm gonna say file, file, type file. Hopefully, right, so it doesn't exist, right? So I have to cast it as array. So array dot from. Right, ultimately, I like to make this a set, but we'll just keep that as we'll just leave it as an array for now. Actually, that's really interesting. I might as well just push everything in there. Right, so I want to say, let's say this dot params dot files, right, dot push. Let's have a result of this, right? Say file objects return. So now what we're going to have is a file upload item, new file upload item, right? And so I'm going to say file, like so, and then right, so button that, right, and I want to say if this dot params dot duplicates, right, so if that's equal to false, this dot let my set equals new set. This dot param from files, that should help get rid of all the duplicates. And then this dot params dot files is array dot from my set, like so. Alright, so that's just VS Code. Right, it's VS Code not catching the changes. Alright, so at the end of this, I want to go ahead and console log my params. I want to console log out my files, and I want to see how they go. Right, so basically, if I upload a file twice, then I shouldn't have to see it again. Right. Alright, so actually, this not quite. Right, so I actually have to check against the file, so I can't. So, alright, so this is going to be a file instance, but those actual files are going to be the same, so I can't meaningfully use set, so I have to say file. Alright, so I'm about to use a filter here. And I want to say return. Dot find. Say file item. I want to say equals file. Right, and that's what I want to do. I want to just make sure that file items not equal file, and then so this logic is going to go in here. Alright, so that should work out for the most part, so let's see how that goes. Alright, so I upload one file. Okay, so that's not good. Return false. Maybe I have to return false from here. Alright. Oh yeah, that's not good. Alright, so this filter values is not coming how as I want it to. Alright, so this is executed. -1. Alright, so it really believes undefined. Alright, so it's getting used. Alright, so I want to make sure. Alright, so there's that. And that's the name of the file AR-15s. And then let's try this again. Right. So I believe what needs to happen is that in order for there to be a new file upload, right, I need to clear the file. I need to clear out. So I'd say this dot value equals null. I think it's used as an empty string. Right, so basically this will just allow the logic to try and go through. Let's see. Right, so that's good. So that's working. And now if I go ahead and add another item. Oh no, this is not. No, this is not good. Okay, so wait. So I think I got this logic wrong. So if I say equals, so if I say well, let me console log the result to see what happens when I actually find the file. Alright, so I'm going to say alphas. Right, so when I get undefined, So basically, I want to say result equals undefined. Right, so let's talk about alphas. Right, so that's undefined, so I get my value back. Put in alphas again. Right, okay, so it really thinks, okay, so I can't do file comparison, I, I suppose. Let me try to add something different. Let's see if it reacts. Right, so, okay, I can't do file comparison. That's unfortunate. Right, because I could have two different file names, but if the files like are equal, then I'm not too sure. Let's see if I can find anything. Alright, so what I've decided is that, I'm going to check the name, I'm going to check the size, the type, and I'm going to check the size, maybe provide a predicate for it later. And predicate is basically, when I say predicate, that means the function that modifies the decision that was made in the functionality, right? So a predicate function would be like, okay, now I want to check name and type. By default, I'm checking the name, the type, and the size, but a predicate function will do something different to decide whether these two files are the same or not, right? So I'm going to check the name file, and then let's see what else is on. Oh, it says last modified type, and then kit relative path, right? I can't really easily do that, but I'll just go ahead and grab last modified. That's going to help. Last modified. I'm pretty sure based on different browsers, things are not going to work. But hopefully, most of the browsers users are using from an edge, right, to do the things that they need to do. Right, so 13 JPG. Right, so I have one file. Let's try to upload it again. 13 JPG. Alright, and I still get the same file. Oh, okay, that's really interesting. Last modified, 13, size. Result says it's undefined. So it's basically saying, right, so it's basically saying this is evaluating to false. Alright, let's try to make it simple. Let's try to see if I could just get this logic to work, because I know 13 JPG is equal to 13 JPG, or else there's something wrong, something in my logic. Something in my logic's wrong. Alright, so I get that file back, right? So let's try to see if it's by type. Type is the culprit. Alright, so 13. So 13. Right, so type is not the culprit. Let's see if size is the culprit. I'm thinking it's file last modified. I don't know. Yeah, and I think I made a mistake. But I'll be surprised if it's size. Right, so it looks like it might be last modified. That's kind of interesting. Alright, so I want to take away the and. Maybe it's just all these three values. Right, so I'm thinking last modified should be the same, but it's kind of interesting how it works. Or I kind of forgot what I used. Alright, so So none of these, all four of these coming together, it seems to fail. Maybe I didn't click the correct file. Right, so I was able to find it again. So maybe there's like there's just, I think maybe it was just a slip of the hand. Alright, and now if I actually allow duplicates, just want to go ahead and make sure that this works. Alright, so, right, I think I want to return true. Right, and if I click on alphas again, then I should get the same amount of values. Alphas, right? So by default, I'm just gonna make this false, right? So now it's one thing I've allowed for both functionality. All right, so continuing here, right? So I guess this is how as large as I want my items to be, right? So now, so basically I got my logic working here. What I want to go ahead and do now is that I want to work on the second section where I get to see the files. Pod 1. Right, and then I want to say div, right, and I'll say ng4 equals let file. So let item of params dot files. Right, that's how I want that to be. Then I want that value to, and then I want it to be in the div, right? So as I upload, I want to start to see these. Right, so and then basically I want to provide a set of options, right? So but first let's try to see the name. So thinking about accessibility a little bit, so let's use unordered list, right? Since it's going to be unordered list, I'm going to say list item. Alright, so thinking about this, right? I think this display should be flex on this list item. Alright, so I'm also thinking, I also want to think for a sec, there's a feature that I'm thinking about adding. Alright, so to continue, you know, when I walked away, I was thinking about something, and I'm thinking about upload allowed predicate. I'm also thinking, and I'll just make this logic a function here. So I believe I need the file. I need the file itself. So the file, type file, and then it returns boolean, and I'll have it equal the logic that's here. Trans dot. Right, good. Hopefully it still works. Alright, so I say alphas, and then I say alphas again, right, and it should fail. Good. Alright, so let me continue. Right, so ng4, right, I need the common module. So let's go there. Alright, so now I want to see, so basically these are values that I want to see. I want to give it a class. I want to say plot 0, item 1. I'm anticipating something. So now I know with files, there should be two things. If I go back to the example, right, it just has a file. Also, I also know that they used to like to give a size. They used to like to give a size, but then I'm also thinking about upload as well. No, there's something at the very right. But I think for now, maybe it was a file icon that they had at the right. But for now, I think just leave it like that. Alright, so just work on it. If I go ahead and work on it, so basically what I want to see is the file name. So the file name is going to be there. P. Alright, so I think the file name, and then I want to have like a set of options. Right, so let's go ahead and see how this looks. And then I'm anticipating I need to style out this unordered list. So let's go ahead and see how this looks. It doesn't. So item. Yeah, so I know it doesn't. Alright, so let's say entry 4. Alright, so basically I want to see my values, though I'm not seeing my values. I want to see what's going on. Okay, so there's no width, no height. Then I have to go ahead and detect my changes. Alright, so there it is. Right, I had to go ahead and change the. Want to detect my changes, but ultimately, I kind of want this looking like that, right? I kind of want a certain amount of spacing, right? So I kind of want to, like, I want to have a border again. So I think that's what I want to do. I want to have a border again. Flex column center, you know, let me go ahead and grab this again, but no spacing this time. Alright, that's just slow. There's nice CSS. Alright, and then ultimately what I would like to do, what I would like is for automation, but automation kind of stops there. Right, and now I want to set the margin. I want to kind of space it out from the top. Spacing 5000. Now I want like a series of icons. Right, so what I'm thinking is that this will be a div. Right, that's gonna I'm thinking to myself, I could just have this unordered list be the section. Also thinking to myself what I want anything there later. Right, so I just want to safeguard. Alright, so this is gonna be. Alright, so basically I'm gonna have them have two sections. I'm gonna have one, just basically, and then I'm gonna have another, right, that's gonna hold that file information, and then I'm gonna have another section, right, that's gonna hold some additional information with whether I want to get rid of the file. Right, so I'm gonna have some functions here. So I could say remove file via function. right? And I want to have these as a series of icons. So we try upload, right? That's going to be a function, right? Let me cancel upload, right? That's going to be a function. And I think all of these are going to accept the files, right? So it's going to be file item, so item. So delete file, I think, among others. Right, so I'll file name. And then here, right, there's going to be additional logic, right? So I kind of want my icons. So I'm using Font Awesome. So here I'm using Font Awesome, but I don't think I'll be able to meaningfully. But since I want this to be its own package, right, I want to be very, very careful, right, about these fonts. So I know I need a trash can, I know I need a retry, and I know I need a cancel. But I think for the time being, just not to replace them, right? If a solid, FA X mark, right? Now I'm going to go on Font Awesome. Let's go back. Alright, so Font Awesome. Alright, so let's see if I get a list, right? So new V6, that's fine. Just want to grab. Alright, so that's trash. Alright, so I want to go ahead and get a trash icon. FA solid, FA trash. Then I said retry. Alright, so this upload file. I'm gonna have this logic here for manual uploads, but definitely don't want this. For uploads that are basically going to go through the component itself, and that's what I want to go ahead and do. Right, so there's going to be cancel, right? There's going to be delete for the trash. There's going to be retry. Right, so basically what I'm looking for is like a retry icon. I don't know if I'm going to see it here. What's for 12? Let's see if there's any instruction icons. Let's see, arrow. All these arrows, hopefully. Okay, arrow rotate right. This is what I need. Right, and then I think I need to upload. I kind of like this. I kind of like how this looks if I could get it to flip upside down. But, okay, arrows up to line. Really like how that looks. To line. Alright, so I upload that.
right? So it's going to be very, very difficult to try to see at first glance how everything looks. But what I'll do is that here I'm just going to populate it. It's kind of interesting. Alright, so I think for the time being, and I don't know if we could get a so it's some sort of binary array, but I don't have time for this right now. Alright, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to use the question mark so the application doesn't snap. Betas.jpg. Alright. Alright, so I think I had a file. So it needs to be in a file object. File.name. Alright, so base.jpg. So ultimately, I want this to be the length of the file. So let's go ahead into the CSS, style it up. So on the main pod, have flex column center, right? But looks like it's not incentivized to be. So I'm gonna say width is 100% here. All right, which is more. Let's say max. Then let's try to use SCSS4. Alright, let's say the min. Yeah, I'm just kind of forced the width to be 90. Don't like use the absolutes, but that's what I have to work with. Alright, so now, so for item, right, so for this item here, that doesn't belong there like that. It belongs on the list item. Alright, so that's good. That's really intended as needed. So I want to say solid. I want to say 2px. Should be as dark. Right, just styling it up a bit. Right, so there's my file. Right, and there's all its icons. So what I want to go ahead and do now, and then let me just, for the sake of it, let's just say file. And then so I could kind of see how I want to go ahead and divide things. Alright, so item 0 is really not doing anything. Item 1. Alright, so I want to insert a snippet. Pod. So item. So I don't have 0 to do anything. But yet, as I imagine, the item 1, I want to say display is flex. I'll say justify content is space between. Alright, so not listening, but should listen yet. Pod 0, item 1, I suppose. It's that we're not in pod 0, in pod 1. Alright, so there's that. Right, and then and then what's over in here, it kind of needs its own class, right? So this is going to be class pod 1, item 2, and then this one is going to be class pod 1, item 3. So its flex is going to be, it's not the, oh, and 2, and 2, so I'm going to say flex. Let's take out 70. Don't grow down strength, just get to 70. And then on pod 3, say don't grow, don't shrink, get to 30. Let's see how that looks. Alright, then let me just give this thing an outline here, because what I really would like is for this width to be as long as its box, but kind of doesn't want to do that. So include outline. I don't even think I have access to outline. We'll see. Yeah, undefined mixin right in this project. So border px one solid red. Alright, so there's that, right? So if I kind of understand what's going on here, let's see at pod 0, right? It's displays. This kind of has, so this really has no incentive to be the width of its parent. Like, it should have incentive, right? Alright, very well. If I say display flex, right, so I'm kind of using this flex column center. I might as well. I'm using this so many times, I might as well make this a mixin. Mixin, flex, column, center. So include flex column center. Alright, so somewhere else here too. Alright, so that's how that looks. Now, oddly enough, right, there's like some sort of interesting padding its width doesn't want to get to 100, right? So here, not to get into the browser a bit, try to see what's going on exactly. Alright, so it means this UL, it still allows me here. It's just the unordered list that doesn't see an incentive to grow to the size of its container. Oh, now this is really interesting. Alright, so I think UL is growing, and now LI also needs to grow, but also, right, if this is flex, and also I'm thinking instead of that, I think there should be a property. Align item stretch. If I say align item stretch, then it's going to want to take up all the room, I suppose. Let's see what's going on. Just a quick insight. Align items stretch. I'm using it in the wrong spot. Okay, yes. So some sort of stretching going on, but outline iron stretch, right? But never, lo and behold, right? With there's only 100%. It's only 100%. Alright, good. Alright, so ultimately that's what we kind of really want. So now on this LI, where I want to set up some padding here, let's just say spacing 2, and then 2, and spacing 5. Alright, so there's that. That's really good. Alright, so let's just go ahead and say spacing 5 everywhere. Spacing 2 is not really too interesting to me right now. Alright, so there's that. Alright, so that's really good. Right? So, and then I think what I want to go ahead and do, I think what I like to do is like, alright, so there's that. Right? In the middle, I like to have like the file size, but for now, we try to work on these icons, and then we definitely want to slide flex. Say justify content is space between. Right, so something more like on the lines like that, right? So I'll try to increase this to 25. We'll decrease this and increase that to 75. Right, so basically there are going to be all the different options. I kind of want to make it even look a bit more nice, you know, as they have it here, like these squares. So I'm gonna definitely do that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna continue styling that all up in the next video, or probably gonna wait to see what the management has to say. So thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and catch you in part 2.